Today's devotional is for Friday, January the 16th, and for the first time, I think, since we have been engaging in these devotionals, I chose something from the Old Testament, and today we are going to read from 1 Samuel. So, we'll be looking at 1 Samuel chapter 8 is where we're going to begin. And we're going to read for a good little bit. First Samuel chapter 8. Okay. When Samuel became old, he made his sons judges over Israel. The name of his firstborn son was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah. They were judges in Beersheba. Yet his sons did not follow in the ways, but turned aside after gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah, and said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow in your ways. Appoint for us, then, a king to govern us, like other nations." But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, "Give us a king to govern us." Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to the voice of the prophet and all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them, just as they have done to me from the day I brought them up out of Egypt to this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they also are doing to you. Now then, listen to their voice only. You shall solemnly warn them and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them." So Samuel reported all the words to the Lord of the people who were asking him for a king. He said, "These will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them to his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and to run before his chariots. And he will appoint for himself commandeers of thousands, and commandeers of 50, and some to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and to make his implements of war and the equipment of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive orchards, and give them to his courtiers. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vineyards, and give it to his officers and his courtiers. He will take your male and female slaves, and the best of your cattle and donkeys, and put them to work. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you shall be his slaves. And in that day you will cry out because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves. But the Lord will not answer you in that day." The people refused to listen to the voice of Samuel. They said, "No, but we are determined to have a king over us, so that we may also be like other nations, and that our king may govern us and go out before and fight our battles." When Samuel had heard the words of the people, he repeated them to the ears of the Lord. The Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to their voice, and set a king over them." Samuel then said to the people of Israel, "Each of you return home." There was a man named Benjamin, whose name was Kish, son of Abiel, son of Zeror, son of Bekah, son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a man of wealth. He had a son whose name was Saul, a handsome young man. There was not a man among the people of Israel more handsome than he. He stood head and shoulders above anyone else. Now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, had strayed. So Kish said to his son Saul, "Take one of the boys with you. Go and look for the donkeys." He passed through the hill country of Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalasha, but they did not find them. And they passed through the land of Shalim, but they were not there. Then he passed through the land of Benjamin, but they did not find them. When they came to the land of Zuph, Saul said to the boy who was with them, "Let us turn back, or my father will stop worrying about the donkeys and worry about us." But he said to him, "There is a man of God in this town. He is a man held in honor. Whatever he says always comes true. Let us go there now. Perhaps he will tell us about the journey on which we have set out." Then Saul replied to the boy, "But if we go, what can we bring the man? For the bread in our sacks is gone, and there is no present to bring the man of God. What have we?" The boy answered Saul again, "Here, I have with me a quarter shekel of silver, I will give it to the man of God to tell us our way." Formerly in Israel, anyone who went to inquire of God would say, "Come, let us go to the seer," for the one who is now called a prophet was formerly called a seer. Saul says to the boy, "Good, come, let us go." So they went to the town where the man of God was. As they went up the hill to the town, they met some girls coming out to draw water, and said to them, "Is the seer here?" They answered, "Yes, there he is, just ahead of you. Hurry! He has come just now to the town, because the people have a sacrifice today at the shrine. As soon as you enter the town, you will find him, before he goes up to the shrine to eat. For the people will not eat until he comes, since he must bless the sacrifices. Afterward, those eat who are invited. Now go up, for you will meet him immediately." So they went up to the town. As they were entering the town, they saw Samuel coming out toward them on his way up to the shrine. Now the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed to Samuel, "Tomorrow about this time I will send to you a man from the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him to be ruler over my people Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines. For I have seen the suffering of my people, because their outcry has come to me." When Samuel saw Saul, the Lord told him, "Here is the man of whom I spoke to you. He it is who shall rule over my people." Then Saul approached Samuel inside the gate and said, "Tell me, please, where is the house of the seer?" Samuel answered Saul, "I am the seer. Go up before me to the shrine, for today you shall eat with me, and in the morning I will let you go, and will tell you all that is on your mind. As for your donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, give no further thought to them, for they have been found. On whom is all Israel's desire fixed, if not on you and on all your ancestral house?" Saul answered, "I am only a Benjaminite, from the least of the tribes of Israel, and my family is the humblest of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin. Why have you spoken to me in this way?" Then Samuel took Saul and his servant boy, and brought them into the hall, and gave them a place at the head of those who had been invited, of whom they were about 30. And Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the portion I gave you, the one I asked you to put aside." The cook took up the thigh and what went with it, and set them before Saul. Samuel said, "Eat. What was kept is set before you. Eat, for it is set before you at the appointed time, so that you might eat with the guest." So Saul ate with Samuel that day. When they came down from the shrine in the town, a bed was spread for Saul on the roof, and he lay down to sleep. Then at the break of dawn Samuel called to Saul upon the roof, "Get up, so that I may send you on your way." Saul got up, and both he and Samuel went out into the street. As they were going down to the outskirts of town, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the boy to go on before us, and when he was passed on, stop here yourself for a while, that I may make known to you the word of God." Samuel took out a vial of oil and poured it on his head and kissed him. He said, "The Lord has anointed you ruler over his people Israel. You shall reign over the people of the Lord, and you will save them from the hands of their enemies all around. Now this shall be the sign that the Lord has anointed you ruler over his heritage. When you depart from me today, you will meet 2 men by Rachel's tomb in the territory of Benjamin at Zelzah. They will say to you, 'The donkeys that you went to seek are found, and now your father has stopped worrying about them and is worrying about you, saying, What shall I do about my son?' Then you shall go on from there further and come to the oak of Tabor. 3 men going up to God at Bethel will meet you there, one carrying 3 kids, another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a skin of wine. They will greet you and give you 2 loaves of bread, which you shall accept from them. After that you shall come to Gilbeth Elohim, at the place where the Philistine garrison is. There, as you come to town, you will meet a band of prophets coming down from the shrine, with harp, tambourine, flute, and lyre, playing in front of them. They will be in a prophetic frenzy. Then the Spirit of the Lord will possess you, and you will be in a prophetic frenzy along with them, and turned into a different person. Now when these signs meet you, do whatever you see fit to do, for God is with you." It continues, and those things come to pass. But there's a lot within these scriptures, but I wanted to go through the entire process, beginning from when a king was requested by the people to the entire process of what was going on, I think a lot of times we hear, oh, so this anointing of Saul, and Samuel anointed Saul, and that's, from childhood, the part that I at least remembered. And I think for these chapters and going through these scriptures, there's a number of things that come up by hearing more of the entire story. One is that even the people requested a king, and Samuel told them that this is not what was being called upon by God. They requested the king anyway, and God makes that choice, telling them that there would be suffering, and they choose this anyway. And even though they choose this, God still calls out to Samuel to find a king that will still save them from the Philistines and still save some of the suffering, and shows just how much peace that God brings us even when we don't always make the right choices. But what stuck out to me even more in the story of Saul is how he is coming through trying to find other lost things, these donkeys, and going through all these towns. So maybe he was kind of in darkness or lost, or kind of looking for that trapeze stick to use some of the things that we've been talking about lately. And it's actually a boy who presents this other way, a child, and he says, but I have nothing to offer, and that I'm a lowly Benjamite, from the lowest tribes of Israel. And he later meets Samuel. And so when I came across this, given some of the things that I had been thinking about earlier in January, to me this was yet just another reminder that God often calls people with a troubled heart, or with a sense of lowliness or concern that maybe they're not worthy. And so that's yet another time to remember that God calls us every day, and we can continue to act in commitments with accepting that and trusting in God to know what we should do, and just continue to feel that we can be led by God to do great things. So I hope, even though this one wasn't much longer, I hope that this was a blessing to you today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.